you can buy fake likes, fake views. You can buy fake comments, and they're all going to be fire emoji, hard eyes.
Yeah.
You can't buy a genuine comments that is like, this song reminds me of when I was blank.
Correct.
Or the share to the girlfriend that says, this should be the song that we play for the first dance at our wedding.
You're right.
Can't buy those and fake those.
Right.
And that's like, that only comes from true relatability and seeing that authenticity in the artist and it not feeling like, oh, they're just doing this to get likes or views.
Do you need an incredible song for the branding and the marketing and the content to work?
Absolutely. So a lot of life can be broken down into 80-20 rule. 80%, 20%. When you have incredible music that cuts through to where you could be in Times Square and you could have all the noise, the hustle bustle going on, and there's someone with a Beats pill on a bike that rides by playing a song, can you recognize, just from the voice, who that artist is? Because of the tone. That's Lady Gaga. That's Kendrick. If so, it's going to cut through on social media, and that's going to get you to that 80% mark where, okay, that's 80% of the work. Incredible music, having a tone that cuts through, but then the 20% that gets made up to go from, hey, my songs are on a couple people's playlists, they listen to me at the gym, but they don't care about me as an artist. They don't come to my shows. You need branding. You need a brand that resonates, content to get in front of people, marketing to amplify it.
Okay, amazing. Let's talk about each one of those buckets. Can we talk about branding first and foremost? What is a brand? What is an artist brand? Because I think a lot of people get this confused.
There's a lot of components, right? So we have like the visual identity, and I think a lot of people look at that component of branding and then they go, okay, that's it. I got my font, I got my color palette, I got my style, I got my look. That's my brand. But it's also the intangibles. Who are you speaking to in your music, in your content? Is it dads in their 50s? Because maybe it's a song dependent thing, maybe it's an artist dependent thing. It should always be both. Who are you speaking to? What is the foundation of who you are as an artist? What is the messaging? Like, what can people point to and say, this artist represents that? They are that. That is the brand foundation. And then all the visual stuff is just the icing on the cake.
So when you talk about that part, let me just play devil's advocate or like some pushback on the artist side. The artist would be like, well, I'm not trying to find who the audience is. I'm just singing songs that mean something to me. And if they connect, amazing.
I'll always say, typically, unless you're like playing a character and you're not being authentic and you're like trying to speak to a totally different audience because you have a persona or something, typically your target audience is just some version of your younger self.
And listen, if you're an artist or a manager watching this episode and you're trying to advance your career, execution and great advice is absolutely necessary. That's why I'm offering private one-on-one strategy sessions. These are fully personalized, just you and me tackling whatever you need in your career. Now look, with over 16 years of experience working with artists like Jessie Reyes and Eminem, or managers like Troy Carter and Tyler Henry, and brands like Nike and the Toronto Raptors, I can help you map out your next moves. Now, whether that's, your personal brand, creating a marketing plan, or building out your content schedule that actually provides results, or simply navigating the music industry to whatever is most relevant to where you're at, I want to help. You can now book a one-on-one consultation session for a fee with me through my Calendly. Find the link in the description below. Now let's get back to the pod with my man Ruff.
That maybe you're writing music because you had a breakup 7 years ago. There's a lot of bands that are still around that were hot 20 years ago, still releasing music. And like the front man might be married with kids now, but because they want to go back and do a more depressing album, it's like, hey, I got to pull from somewhere. I got to pull from my high school breakup. And that's how I'm getting the inspiration for this song. So you're still like writing music from a place of your younger self. And that's like who you're speaking to. Maybe it's not an age thing, but it's like an experience thing. So at some point you are speaking to another version of yourself. And that version just exists in the millions. You just got to find them.
You got to find them, which is something that your agency, you're great at as well, and really dissecting that. It's funny because I hear you talking about your younger self, but a lot of artists, I find, they don't connect because of what Carl Jung calls, the shadow. Right? And it's just like artists don't go deep enough to who they are, and they suppress certain things about themselves where then they can't really like live life to fulfillment or even be able to connect with people at a very macro level. And one thing that I hear you talk about a lot is the archetypes that Carl Jung spoke about. Can we talk a little bit about that and what you mean about when it regards to the archetypes and how it relates to the artist?
100%. Yeah, I mean, everything can be boiled down to an archetype. A brand, characters in a movie, like Jack Sparrow is the jester. Yoda is the sage. We'll get into like that right now, but
Yeah.
essentially every brand, every artist, every character in a movie can be kind of distilled down at a 30,000 overview level of like, they fit this archetype. Are they the creator? And a lot of artists will say, because I create music, I am the creator. But if the creator is somebody who drives like a totally left of center sound that no one else is doing, and they're like completely changing genres, like Fred again in the dance community is a creator because he just, everything he did from sampling like podcasts as his freaking vocal top line and like doing those like pandemic like sets in front of the, like everything created what is now the current modern dance industry. That is the creator archetype. That is somebody who's pushing an entire subculture forward and they're at the lead of that.
Yeah.
And like a lot of artists like, I'm the creator. It's like, you don't have to be. Just because obviously you create music, you don't have to be the creator.
Right.
Let's not like try to change and like get in our heads and be like, I think I'm this, I think I'm that. We'll find who you actually are archetype wise, and then we'll just amplify that. Are you the explorer? Are you somebody who's like, you're always traveling? It could be a very literal, like you're literally just always exploring in the world. Or it could be more like, I'm always exploring sounds. I'm always exploring like parts of myself. I'm never really satisfied just staying in one place. Very different than the creator. The creator's trying to drag the culture forward. The explorer is just trying to like experiment and go within themselves. Are you the jester? Are you like Lil Dicky would be the jester? He has a freaking comedy show. Like, are you comedic in nature? Are you not like, you don't have to force comedy. If you're naturally funny and you want to be slapsticky and goofy in your content and just that's who you are as a person, you are the jester. And you can still build a legitimate, serious fan base being the jester. Jack Sparrow, like he has action scenes, but he's also funny. And then you have the dreamer. Are you somebody who like the underdog? Like you're that underdog story that people root for because maybe you have a backstory that's compelling, that can inspire, that you're then going to be very public and vocal about and uplift people who can look at you as motivation. Wow, like they dream big. They have this underdog component to them and I'm rooting for them because I see myself in them. Are you the rebel? And a lot of artists will also say they're the rebel.
The outlaw?
The outlaw, the rebel, like, oh yeah, like I'm the rebel. It's like, why? Let's really, really dig deep and say, okay, why are you the rebel? What are you actually rebelling against? If you are, I don't want to use dance music here, we'll use like country music. Sam Hunt would be the rebel sonically when he first came out because he was like, he was one of the first country artists to use trap beats in 808s in like 2014. No one had ever done that before. So he was hated for like when he first came out of the scene, but because he was rebelling against traditional country music sonic norms. That is like a true rebel. So if you're someone who in the music and just who you are as a person, you rebel against societal norms like Chappell Roan, everything about her persona, that is the rebel. And then there's the wild card where we don't know what we're going to get. And that's how we see it, at least, which is more not all 12, because like the caregiver and like these other archetypes, very, very rarely do you find an artist who actually like fits that as a person and as an artist.
And to be clear, those 12 archetypes are the caregiver, ruler, creator, innocent, sage, explorer, outlaw, magician, hero, lover, jester, wildcard, everyman, right?
Oh, the best friend too.
The best friend.
We call it the best friend.
That
friend. Was the one I was missing, which is Post Malone would be the best friend. Like Taylor Swift would be best friend.
This is amazing you say Post Malone because even like hanging with Post Malone is like one of the greatest dudes I've ever met in the music business. Like he's everybody's home.
That's what everybody says because he is just as a human being. It's not a and your archetype can't be a front or a persona. Like
so to that note though, how does an artist actually find that authentic self?
They have to be fearless. To be an artist, you have to be fearless. And I just made a video about this. There's a big difference between being a musician and an artist. The artist is the CEO, the front-facing entity of the business. The musician just serves that. So if you are a great musician, but you truly can't find it in yourself to find that fearless factor that's going to make you just be relentlessly like out there in all components, songwriter, producer, session musician, beat maker.
Yeah.
On the business side, like there's so many different avenues within this industry you can go if you don't have that sense of fearlessness, but you need that to be the artist, to be the face of the business.
Do you think that that's a requirement in 2025? Because in the past, one could say that wasn't necessary. They could have the persona, which is the mask.
But I always like to push back on the persona and say,
Yeah,
even if it's amplified, there's still some component of who that artist is in reality at like who they are that they're amplifying with the persona.
yeah. And do you think that it's damn near impossible to connect with an audience if that person isn't authentically who they are to the audience?
In 2025, if you don't have any legacy behind it, yes, absolutely.
I would, even in general, you know what I mean? Like how can you even connect as a human with other individuals if you're not being your authentic self? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's what people want. They want to see themselves in it in some capacity, whether it's like relatability, like the most valuable metric on social media is the share and or the comment.
Yeah.
Because you can buy fake likes, fake views. You can buy fake comments and they're all going to be fire emoji, hard eyes.
Yeah.
You can't buy a genuine comment that is like, this song reminds me of when I was blank.
Correct.
Or the share to the girlfriend that says, this should be the song that we play for the first dance at our wedding.
You're right.
Can't buy those and fake those.
Right.
And that's like, that only comes from true relatability and seeing that authenticity in the artist and it not feeling like, oh, they're just doing this to get likes or views.
So when you're looking at the branding, now we're talking about that from like, that's where you should start. Is that what you're saying?
100%. You have to know who you are, what your message is and what you want to say and what you want to represent before you just go start being out there in the public face with content.
Mm-hmm. With content. Okay. And then now give me what the sauce is for what you would communicate to an artist at home trying to figure it out, or someone that's hit a bit of a roadblock. What are you communicating to them? Like, okay, we have the archetype. Now where do we go with the brand? What's next?
Iteration. So if we understand, okay, we know who the archetype of this artist is. We know what they represent, their brand voice, their brand values, their brand direction. So like I always like to use the brand direction as X aesthetic meets Y reference through the lens of Z. So like,
give me the example. Yeah.
An example would be goth aesthetic meets Barbie movie through the lens of Wes Anderson. So that's like that's like the formula.
If you want to do off the top of the head right there that you came with, it's good.
Like what is our aesthetic meets what movie meets like what video style. And that's like kind of our very broad brand direction, our brand story. What is the story that we want to tell?
Okay.
Does it come directly from like, is it just basic, here's the artist backstory, we're just going to plug that in and jam that everywhere? And that often fits with like the dreamer underdog archetype if you have this compelling backstory that you want to uplift people with. So we have our direction, our story. What is the voice? What type of voice are we using online in our captions, in our text on screen? Is it like cocky? Is it raw? Is it honest? Is it vulnerable? Is it scared? Is it like scared is very much a brand voice you could have as an artist and be like,
oh yeah,
it was so hard for me to share this because, or I cannot believe, I found it in myself to write about this. Brand voice, brand values. What do we stand for? What is our purpose? What is our mission? What is our vision? We have to know all of that, map all of that out. Then what are our 4 brand pillars that encompass all of that into 4 boxes, one to 2 words each? That becomes our guiding light. Then we have our brand archetype and our message, and that message becomes the Brita filter that everything goes through. Everything. We have artists, at the label and with the agency where they take their brand message and they bring it on paper in the studio and they put it up right in front of the vocal booth and they read it and they go, as they're just tracking, mumble melodies and starting to come up with lyrics, does this fit my brand message and my archetype? We have artists that read that message before they go on stage. Am I going to embody my message and my archetype? I'm the rebel. I'm supposed to be fearless. I know I am. I know my message is this. So when I go out there on stage, I got to be just a rebellious, fearless, fire people up. I can't be timid at all. Read it and go. And that's like what kind of encapsulates everything. Take that and go, okay, now what's our visual? Now what is our font, our color palette, our visual mood board? When we do photos, when we do carousels.
Fascinating.
What does that look like? Are we doing grainy? Are we doing Polaroid? Are we doing pocket dispo? Are we doing black and white? All of that comes last, but we have to nail all of the other stuff down first.
You said 4 brand pillars. What are those? Did you already communicate those?
They're going to be different for everybody. 1 to 2 words, 4 times, really simple, where it's like one that I remember, I forget the artist, but this one always sticks out to me that we came up with, and we were like substitute teacher energy. Like that was one of the brand pillars. And we got there because it was like, you respect the substitute teacher, but you kind of shit on them. They're like, I kind of want people to shit on me. Like, I kind of like, so we're like, all right, it's like a substitute teacher energy. Like there's still that level of respect. We don't want the fans to just rag on you all day.
Yeah.
But like, we're down to play the game and the content and who we are as an artist. And like, you know, let them make fun of you a little bit. Let them like share on your self-deprecation. So it could be anything, our brand pillars.
How often do artists understand this part of the business, even after you tell them?
It's a long iterative process. Like it's school. And we got the whiteboard, you know, at Big Loud, and I get on the whiteboard very often and we treat it like class. And like you have to hear things over and over and over again from the teacher for it to sink in. So like you go through my Instagram, like there's videos I'll remake word for word because I know people need to hear this like multiple times.
Right.
It can't get lost in March 2025. Like you have to hear things over and over and over again. Like you have to understand, I am the rebel. Okay, why until it really sinks in. These are my brand values and they're important because of this. Why? It sinks in. So it's just repetition.
That's so fascinating. And if an artist doesn't have this brand, can they cut through, you think, if they're not listening to this kind of advice? I feel like you're going to say no.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, like, if you do have incredible, like absolutely undeniably incredible music, it'll go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to cut through to the level of like, you've got 5 million monthly listeners and you're playing hard ticket shows and you're selling out 350 cap rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Never going to happen if you're just like, yeah, I don't know anything about myself. Sometimes I show up and I talk on stage. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be there. And I just wear a sweatshirt. Like if that, like, there's no way.
Right.
But your songs can live on the editorial playlist. And if they're that incredible, which is 1 in a million.
Yeah. And then it's hard to, like you said, it's hard to sell a hard ticket with that. You know what I mean, you can't fall in love with the artist if you don't know what the artist is really about. Do you ever find that there are some things that the music industry is still hung up on when it comes to branding that worked X amount of years ago but doesn't necessarily work in this day and age?
Yeah, I think it's a fear of change. Like
A what?
Fear of change.
Fear of change.
Yeah.
Like what? Give me an example.
Like the blueprint right now, and this goes back to the like for an artist to cut through, their voice has to be loved and hated. The blueprint for the biggest artist in the world is Taylor Swift. People love her and hate her, but she also has changed her core foundation of who she is and what she represents doesn't change. She's the innocent meets the best friend, but as she's grown up as a person and brought her audience along for the ride, as an outsider looking in, you could just be like, oh, now she's wearing red lipstick during Reputation. Now she's doing this. Why she's always changing? I know an artist has to be this way for their whole career. Kiss was always this, and my favorite band was always that. No, branding changes, and I think a lot of artists in the old industry, old guard, was like, no, this is the artist brand, and like we're just gonna hide everything about who you are as a person. You play this character, and people get used to this character, and they see it in a couple press interviews, and they read the same little brand voice in freaking Rolling Stone magazine print, and you'll go on Howard Stern once every 3 years, and you have to show up as this person, and that was that. There's no like room for growth and change and like bringing the audience along for the journey. And something I always say to like artists that are like very baby like stages.
Yeah.
Build a brand in public. Like if we don't know where the hell we're going, let's at least start building it in public, because I always like to make the joke, if there's a video of Drake, first time ever tracking vocals, and he sounded terrible, that video would have 250 million views right now, because every artist would go back and be like, look, Drake sucked at one point. That that's me now, but now he's Drake. So like you build a brand in public and people will go back and like reminisce and be inspired or see the evolution.